I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 10. Yes, the Twilight Forest. As you may remember, the lovely dimension that really has no end game. Very much like Minecraft itself, it has been in production and been around for years. But today I do want to jump into the portal and do a bit of exploring. And exploring we shall. Welcome to the Twilight Forest dimension. This is something that we are going to need to progress through in order to complete the All the Mods star. So this is something that we're going to have to go after. Now, the progression has pretty much stayed the same over the years, and it still persists in this version. And the best way to progress is to simply hit the L key to open up your advancements, and be sure to follow the progression line that is listed out here. Because if you do not complete these steps, you're going to have a hard time just accessing the other areas. Now, for the purposes of this video, I am going to be running some night vision for this, and I'm also going to be employing some rather mischievous tactics to progress quickly through this dimension. It's much better. We can now see. But yes, over the years, I have basically played through this mod several times, and so have probably you. So in this video, I'm basically going to try my best to exploit as much as I can to be able to progress through this dimension as fast as I can, because I think there are 3 separate bosses that I'm going to have to defeat 6 separate times if I'm going to even want the possibility of getting their trophies and having those trophies automated, which is required for the star, like I said. And even if it's not necessary to have all 3 of these and automate them, if you don't, you're going to be required to have 18 of these shards, which means you would technically have to kill 18 of these anyways. So why not go ahead and make a framework from hostile neural networks and go ahead and just farm 6 of them? That saves a lot more effort. Okay, so let's see how powerful these bosses are against our powerful R's. First of all, this is one of the first bosses we can go after, and we already have flight, which puts us at a really big advantage. Now, the Naga, this should not really deal any damage to us, but we should be able to deal a ton of damage to it. For example, this R spell that I'm using right here basically annihilated this thing right from the start, and it will auto hone and target this thing. It's pretty ridiculous, right? By the way, if you want to see this spell, it is pretty straightforward. Self, burst, sensitive, propagate homing, and then split about 4 times, and then the rest is just doing a harm spell with a delay, and then harm again, max amplify, delay, and then harm again with item pickup, of course, at the end. But yeah, when it's all said and done, this basically is a spell that can do AoE mobs. It can kill multiple mobs at once. So yeah, and you end up with some really cool particles like this. But there we go. So this is something we're going to have to do. Now, the Naga is not on my list of multiple things to kill, but I do believe the Naga is something that you can farm with this. You're just going to end up farming Naga skills, and I don't know how useful Naga skills are going to be for us. However, I feel like the mod itself, the Twilight Forest, is mainly here for building blocks. Like, this is exactly what this whole mod is about, really. Or at least it seems like it at this point, right? There's just so many custom building blocks. Like, look at these blocks. These are so cool right here. And yeah, you can just take them and use them in your own little build in some cool way, right? Like, that's kind of what this mod is about. I hear a lot of people all the time complain about this particular mod and that it's never changed, it's not updated, and it doesn't have an in-game boss. Well, honestly, the in-game is just what you can do with it creatively. And that's how most things technically are in Minecraft and in modded in general. Okay, so now that we've gotten this boss out of the way, now we can move on to another boss, because this has technically completed our advancement here, and it wants us to sort of move along from the Naga into the Lich. Now, something I will mention, if you follow along these rivers, it will help you by just simply killing a crow if you find it. If you get that, we can actually make a map. That would be kind of helpful for allowing me to see exactly where these boss locations are at. Oh, I just heard a crow, but yes, you could use your explorer's compass to locate the structures specifically. But yeah, this is a nice way in game of doing it as well. And these little guys really do hide. But yes, if you take out a crow. You'll get yourself some raven feathers. I guess it's a raven, not a crow. We also have to find some torchberries. Usually you can find torchberries like underground inside of caves. Yeah, and looky there. There was one hanging right off the side. So this is just a part of the typical progression line. And then I would use this like to make the map, right? We surround this and we now have a blank magic map, and this is how you can navigate around. When we right click this, the whole map is discovered, and you can now start to see all of the bosses that lay around. Now, as we look for this, some things I do want to mention. I recommend having yourself an Eclipse Gate 1. This allows you to dash, which is going to allow you to get around this dimension really fast, and it's going to be helpful later on with this ability. Yeah, the ability to basically see through walls and also walk through walls. Well, it'll help up to a certain point, because I don't think this will get rid of bedrock, and there are some puzzles that we're going to have to solve that do require us to get through bedrock, but it does work through things like this. Overall, this is going to be a really, really helpful tool. So after a little bit of searching, this is our next boss. This is the Lich. And remember, I said we're going to be cheesing things, right? This boss, however, is not the easiest one to cheese, but we should be able to go ahead and interact here by popping this open, and we can just gain access directly to the top. Now, by default, attacking this Lich is not going to be something that's super easily done. But if we go ahead and we hit these back at the Lich, as soon as she shoots, there we go. I think we gotta probably punch him with our fist. As soon as she throws them, we should be able to hit them back. And this is the only boss that honestly shows any kind of threat. Notice, by the way, how it did take some health back. We just knock it back. You just keep punching. Sometimes she'll throw fireballs. There we go. There's another one down on the Lich. Good old Lich Queen. But as soon as you get all the shields down, this boss is gone. So a little less cheesable, but there we go. So just honestly, one hit with this sword and the boss is gone. Oh, that's such a cool animation. It looks like they have changed some things, right? Because that has not always been that way. Oh, I love this. Okay, so this is not, like I said, any of the bosses that really pose a concern. However, we do have to get through these bosses initially to unlock the other areas. Pretty cool. Now, if you have yourself the Essence of Knowing, this is going to make something really, really cool happen. You can put this in, and if you've ever experienced like not seeing where chests were at, and you've always wondered, where are those hidden chests at in here? Well, this kind of exposes that. And as you can see right here, there's a couple of hidden chests. And if you avoid all of the white cubes, you don't have to worry about silverfish spawning on you. So yeah, just a little quick tip. Now, after defeating the Lich, it splits off into technically 4 separate areas. We have to go into the fire swamp. There's also a puzzle we have to do, and this is where we're going to take on the Hydra. Then we have the Dark Forest. The Dark Forest contains some very interesting phantoms that we'll have to take on inside of another puzzle dungeon. And then we also have this one, which is the Glacier, which we're going to have to take on some Yetis. And the Yeargast, which is technically connected to the Dark Forest, is another progression line that we have to go through. So all of these are pretty straightforward. The 2 hardest out of all of the whole puzzles that we have to kind of get through, honestly, is the one in the fire swamp and then also the one in the Dark Forest. Those 2, in my opinion, are kind of a pain because it's a whole lot of kind of running around in circles until you find kind of what you're looking for, which is ultimately the boss room. Now, first, I think the swamp is going to be the perfect one to go after. This one, honestly, being the most challenging out of all of them in total, right? And this is kind of the structure we're looking for on the map. Kind of looks like a cow, right? That's kind of cool. So it's a mushroom cow, but this place right here is the place that makes things really difficult. Now, by default, we wouldn't be able to break these maze brick blocks instantaneously. It just so happens that we have an insta break on our Eclipse Paxel. I also ended up getting this, by the way, to Fortune 8. Still working on getting it higher, but right now it's on Fortune 8. But anyways, but this is still, we're going to have to kind of not worry about this, right? Because even though we can break blocks, we really don't need to, right? This is where the Eclipse Wand comes into play. Now, this is only going to help us so far in this maze, because normally, right, it has a bedrock layer between the layers. But we can use it for something like this, right? to help us, you know, kind of go through one part of the maze and into another, right? Pretty darn cool. And so that way we can use this to hopefully get through this area. Yeah, this also would be probably a good time to have true invisibility. But yeah, essentially we are breaking the entire maze here. But if you really want to skip ahead and you want to find this location, oh boy, is this going to be easy. That's because we can use a tablet of scrying. If you've gotten into ours, this makes this really good. And I'm almost positive if I use iron bars on the scry here and I activate this, the iron bars should be what surround our next level drop portal. So this is going to show us exactly where those iron bars are located, allowing us to not really have to wander too long in this dungeon that you've probably done a million times. Now, I'm not particularly looking for the iron bars that are located like right here, for example, but I am looking for the ones that kind of look and should be in the shape of kind of like a portal, or not really a portal, kind of like I guess it would be better called like I don't really know, like a hole in the ground, because it's really at the end of the day what we're looking for. Aha, this right here is kind of the shape that I'm looking for. So yeah, see how this could definitely help you get out and or in. Perfect. So now that I'm down here, I mean, this is where things are not that difficult. If I really wanted to find it, I would just also scry for the fence. But I think this one's going to be a pretty easy one to probably locate. Because once we find an outer wall, we just need to continue like this. And it's going to be a room that really looks much like that one. I'm going to continue my way through. Just kind of la la la. Oh, and here it is. So this is our boss, and this is the boss room. Okay, so let's go ahead and break through here. And I guess get ready to one-tap the boss. Yeah, also, by the way, this is not a boss that I'm going to need in any way. But there we go. The two-tap the boss, I guess. Perfect. I know, anticlimactic, but after we have killed the boss, you have to make sure you eat the mighty Stroganoff. This is actually what is going to unlock the ability for us to go after our next boss. And how nice, it gave me a milk bucket so I can get rid of the effect that is the scry. And something else that's going to be kind of helpful, by the way, is the blank maze map that it just gave me, which we could use technically to find our way back out. I don't think that's going to be a difficult thing either. Now remember, I told you that I was going to be heavily cheesing this, so yeah, what would you expect? I mean, honestly, just look at the power that has been bestowed upon us. Oh yeah, this is a room, right? I almost forgot about this place. Yep, and this place is also usually heavily protected by an abundance of TNT. But this is where you would actually find the maze breaker, which it's not always guaranteed, but it is a place where we could technically find a tool that has enough enchanting, there it is, the maze breaker, that has enough enchanting level that would have allowed you to break through these blocks if you didn't happen to have this. And thankfully we get all of that because this is things heavily trapped. Well, perfect. I am now out of this place, and this is honestly where the cheesing really is going to begin, because you didn't really think I was going to go after and kill the Hydra and find like 6 different Hydras, did you? You did, but well, no. I'm actually going to cheese that too. So now it's time to take on the big dogs. Ah, yes, the legendary Hydra. Honestly, this is the boss. When I think of Twilight Forest, this is the boss that I always come back to and I think about. So, is there ways to potentially cheese this? I did a little bit of testing on this guy, and we can use this on it, right? We can get the data model, but can we use a mob swab on it? Not exactly. I haven't been able to find a good way to get a mob swab on it. Even like trying to access every part of it, it does not work. And I even tried to catch it inside of a Drigme jar. Doesn't seem to also work in this pack. Can you catch it in a creature catcher? Doesn't really seem like that does anything either. So yeah, just kind of something to note. This might be one of the few bosses that we do have to do the normal way. And speaking of the normal way, the best way to take this guy out is by just simply hitting these things back at it. Usually that's the best way, but we do have some really powerful spells and abilities. So could we just potentially attack it to death? Probably. I mean, this does seem like it does work. I mean, that's taking this guy out pretty quickly. If you do it this way, though, with the Hydra, it regrows more heads. But, like I said, this spell is incredibly potent. And so, taking the Hydra out is kind of a piece of cake. Just don't forget, like I did, to put the model inside of the deep learner. That is usually a good idea. Now, this area right here is the area where we take on the Yetis. And this is our sort of introduction into getting into the glacial area. So yeah, going in here, this is actually a pretty cool boss. He'll pick you up, but we can take him out, and we don't need anything from the Alpha Yeti. So I'll just simply do this, get myself a plushie, and I'll come out of here with a nice trophy. These little guys, by the way, also grant you these ice bombs, which are kind of a powerful thing that you can use. If you toss an ice bomb basically on these mobs, they'll turn into ice. You know what? That seems a little overkill, really. I mean, this just feels bad, right? What? He just turned into ice like that. Oh my goodness. Oh, cool. I don't ever remember seeing winter wolves. Oh, that's sick as well. And these also drop the fur that you can use to make, in my opinion, one of the cooler like outfits that you can get from this dimension. All right. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing, which is the Snow Queen. And in this case, I am going a little bit out of order than I normally would, because normally I would actually go for the other area first. But I want to see, can we, for example, like mob swab this boss, right? Because this would be kind of a nice one to have mob swabbed. Now, while they won't spawn in spawners, if we can actually spawn or get them in a swab, we can still make the spawn egg for it and actually spawn it in. Now, these are usually incredibly hard to break. And you can see that this is also not able to break it either. But this can just pass right through. So we're able to find it quite easily where the actual boss spawn location is. And it is right here. So yes, can we mob swab this? Let's grab that. Of course, we got to try our best to cheese as much as possible. We can. Okay, so maybe it was just an issue I was having with not being able to swab the dragon. I don't know. So if I get a few of these, right, we should be able to at least make a spawn egg, and then we could just summon the spawn egg instead of needing to find several locations for this thing. I think that is a fantastic idea. And since the boss really isn't doing any damage to me, I guess at this point now we can just take her out. I know, it does feel kind of weird, all of the hard work that goes into coding these mods and doing it this way and just kind of cheesing it can feel bad. Don't get me wrong, it does. But at this point, I mean, we really just need this for the star. I've done this mod so many times. But man, that makes me sound so snarky saying it like that. Oh, that feels gross saying it like that. But I don't know. It's just, I've played it a lot. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy it. But I mean, because look how beautiful that is. That is, oh man, the Twilight Forest. And getting to see some of these like changes, I don't necessarily remember the skybox looking like this. Oh, it looks so good. And I mean, come on, the penguins. Yeah, get in my Pokeball. Oh yeah, and this is tradition. This is 100% tradition. I had to. All right, so I'm going to come back to taking out more of these with these mob swabs that I just did, because there is still another boss technically that we have to go after, and that is going to be the Yeargast. And honestly, the Yeargast can be one of those mobs that is kind of pesky and hard to kill. Okay, now it does look like the Dark Forest has 100% been updated, because I don't remember ever seeing these guys riding giant spiders before. I could be wrong. This mod does get like minor updates all the time. So anyways, I'm after a very specific building that is inside of the Dark Forest, and I just need to use my map to locate it. It should be right over here somewhere. Yes, there it is. An exposed dungeon. Now, typically to get into the exposed dungeon, we'd have to locate the entrance to be able to unlock it. You can see it is kind of waiting for us to do that. I almost wonder, are we able to use our wand to actually get through here? No way, right? Okay, so yeah, it is blocked. It does look like, because that's not working. So how you would actually get in here is you would use your trophy. When you place that on there, bam, it is now unlocked. And now we can use our wand. But this place can be one of the most challenging places to find the boss room typically one of the harder ones to find the boss room. And I was going to recommend you can always use a scry and scry for obsidian to find its location. But this one was right in the entrance. I'm honestly a little flabbergasted because this usually takes a while to locate. Okay, well, this is the boss, and these are the challenges we got to do. So, actually not too difficult if we, for example, use this crazy spell to just simply take them all out. And this is one of the weaker of the boss sets, but there we go. We've now taken it out. Wait, we got one more. Perfect. Okay, this one's being a little difficult. There we go. I think when they have invisibility, this spell doesn't work so well. But now that it's done, technically we now have access to the Yeargast area. And believe me, there are some cool things that you could still find in this dungeon. I think like a rainbow tree is one of them. That is pretty nifty if you can discover it. But now is the moment of truth. We need to get to the Yeargast, which a lot of people will probably call the most annoying of the bosses simply because of the noises it makes. I know I definitely would. But this right here is the structure. And yes, again, it kind of defeats the whole purpose. This maze I have gone through legitimately, and it takes a very long time to get through this maze legitimately. Also, there's some infested tower planks. These are pretty cool. And there's actually a mob that you can get that spawns from these. And these tower borers are pretty interesting, right? This is kind of a cool thing to note. I believe these do have some drops, but anyways, we need to get up here. So we have the ability to dash. And as soon as we're up at the very, very top tower, the Yeargast spawns. Okay. And I want to grab this. It says no models exist. Okay. You just got to click the right spot. And I'm wondering, can we do the Yeargast? Oh, we can. Oh, this is perfect. Okay. So we are going to have to do the Yeargast enough times. And I almost wonder if we're going to be able to use spells to attack this mob. Oh, yes. This is going to be beautiful. Let me put this in here real quick. And we have 2. So 4 swabs. And typically flying up to this thing is kind of challenging, but not really right here. Oh, this is so cheesy. So cheesy. But I love stuff like this. Like, this is just a different approach to doing it normally. Now, typically, we would use this, and we would kill these things. Right? We would kill them, they would build up, and then we would step on the pressure plate. That would then pull the Yeargast into it. But man, this makes a horrible noise. And I think we might be able to use this. Oh my goodness. This spell is insane for this. And yes, we were able to take out the Yeargast almost instantly with that. Beautiful. Oh man, even though it feels 100% cheesy, it is a thing we can do. Now, before we get to summoning some mobs, it wouldn't feel right to show off the true in-game area, and that is the castle. But also, we have this area up here, right? And to be able to get to this area where we could see ourself spawn as a giant, which is so cool, by the way, the way that we would typically get here is by just mining directly underneath this area. And so, by doing so, if we're right underneath, we should find a massive area down here. Now, typically, the best way to get through this giant obsidian would be to use the giant pickaxe, and that's actually the tool that you would use to get through here. We got to get that pickaxe by taking on ourselves and getting that pickaxe. Okay, let's see. Can we take on our giant self? Oh, good. One shot. Man, I am a weakling. Anyways, so there's the giant pickaxe. And, yeah, quite giant, to say the least. Yep, we're going to go ahead and take this back down into that hole. I love how this is literally just me speedrunning. But yes, this is the tool that will allow us to break through the giant obsidian blocks. I don't know if vein miner works, but yeah, look how big this block is. It's so big. Okay, here it goes. Almost there. Okay, a few more seconds. Perfect. Okay, and inside, very nice. We are going to have a bunch of chests and the Lamp of Cinders, which is kind of the end game thing that we're after, that lamp of cinders. But also you do get some magical beans, which allows you to make a huge beanstalk. Very, very cool. And to grow it, you can use this soil to grow it on. So just something to kind of mention, that is part of the primary progression of this mod. Pretty darn cool. Oh, and by the way, these little smaller ones actually are accessible beforehand, allowing you to use magic beans and the soil to get up there to be able to take it out. So just kind of something to mention that is just classic, the classic progression of this mod. Now, what's the Lamp of Cinders used for, you might ask? Well, you can actually use it to clear out an entire area of these thorns, allowing you to make your way up to the castle. But we have the ability to fly, which makes this process a teensy bit easier. And you may be wondering, well, is there a finished boss up here now? It says no. This is the end of the progression for now. Final castle that awaits the plateau. Still unfinished, is in the work in progress. And you can follow them on their Discord, by the way. So yes, still in active development. So this mod has not stopped, and it hasn't stopped for years. But here it is. This is where apparently some ultimate boss will be here. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is it. This is the thing. And I know this disappoints a lot of people, but I will say there's a lot of cool things that you can still get in this area. For example, these doors are so cool, and honestly, a really cool building material. And yes, you can obtain them. Like, these are 100% obtainable, just like so, and you can use them in your own base. All of these blocks are mineable and obtainable. This is a really cool block palette. I really like these dark blocks that are over here. Like, these are really nice. The castle roof tiles, which are another variant of like a dark gray concrete. Just thinking back to the history of this mod, man, this has been around for years. There's just always something so nostalgic about making it into this dimension and getting to this point. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful. By the way, there are some special mobs that are in here as well that have some cool abilities. Now, this I do have night vision on, but typically this would be pretty dark. But just look at this. Like, you could technically use this for some part of your base if you really wanted to, or you can use the cut paste tool, hint, 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 to technically cut this out of existence and maybe paste it somewhere underground. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, we still technically have like 6 Hydras to technically take out, unless I can get a swab to work on that as well. You know what? I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to try and click everywhere I can. It does not seem like it works or is going to want to work anywhere. So yeah, unfortunately with this boss, no matter how many times I've tried swabbing it, going underneath, going right from the front, everything, nope, nothing. So yeah, old-fashioned way, I'm just going to have to at least bite the bullet and take this one out the normal way. Well, kind of normal. This is nothing normal about doing it this way. But man, this does kill it very quickly. And oh my goodness, the trophy for it is huge. Oh my. That's a big boy right there. You know what? You could build your base with these spawners as the skybox for the inside of your base, because this is like absurdly large. Man, I can only imagine this particular part though on a server. Oof. I mean, there's only so many of these, and if they're non-respawnable, yep, you're going to be searching for a very long time on a server. But you know what? I guess on a server, if at least someone has done it, then they could always share, right? Yeah. Honestly, I would love to show me actively traveling and how fast I am traveling, but it would 100% cause a seizure because of the rapid flashing that happens while dashing so fast. Like, just the colors of the biome just change so rapidly. So again, one more time, this is the final one that I need just to show you how insanely powerful this spell is. Oh man, the fact that it just splits into so many different projectiles really does a number on this Hydra. I mean, just annihilating it in an instant. Now for this swab, I am gonna need a lot of chickens, and you know what? Since this right here is a cave spider spawner, I could just go ahead and switch this to a chicken. And this would be perfect for this, right? Because this should spawn a singular chicken, like right here. It really should. So yeah, after putting in here so that way it ignores spawning conditions, perfect. This is now spawning them in, and they shouldn't have any AI. So this makes it so much easier. Now, I guess I'll start off by using this area right here, and I want to try with the Snow Queen. And just to kind of make sure everything happens correctly, I'm going to try and swab the Snow Queen. Okay, so just to make sure that I can always get a backup of it, It seems like everything's fine though. Like, this should work just as normal. What? Yeah, it works just fine. Oh, that's cool. Oh, and it still summons the chest and everything. What? So now I guess a moment of truth. We can do them all and use this crazy spell right here to potentially take on all of them at once. Oh, this spell does so much damage. Yeah, taking multiple out in one go. It's too good. It's too good, honestly. And there we go. Perfect, all of the chests. So yeah, now for the interesting one, the Yeargast. Okay, so let's try at least one. Oh goodness. Yep, that definitely spawns a Yeargast. Oh boy, but taking it out. How can I deal damage to it? There it goes. Whew. I was worried for a moment. I thought that it wasn't going to be possible. It is definitely possible with this spell. Holy smokes. And dead. Oh, and we got ourselves a Yeargast trophy. No way. This is going to be ridiculous looking. Oh, man. Yeah, imagine living inside this. Yeah, this is 100% doable. Only 5 more of those monstrosities to go. Oh, boy. Yeah. It's gonna be a minute. Ooh, I did find a trick to this though. It appears you have to aim down near its feet. So, as soon as I figured that out, so much easier. And final Yeargast of the evening, right here. Now this, my friends, has got to be one of the craziest ways I have ever gone through the Twilight Forest. And there have been series I have definitely done this in the past and gone through it exactly legitimately, with being on foot and not having flight or anything like that. So definitely check those videos out. You can easily search ChosenArchitect in Twilight Forest, and you'll probably see a plethora of videos where I've covered this mod in the past. But for right now, there's really only one more thing left really for us to do, and that is to get some predictions. So if we head back to the castle, we'll get there eventually. There it is. We can head down into our tech layer, and then I just need to take our new data cards for all of the ones that we would ever need, and we can start at least them producing. I don't know if I'm going to need them constantly producing, but some of them give some really nice stuff. For example, this gives packed ice, which could be useful to us for future stuff. And then we have the Yeargast prediction, which gives us the Carmenite, which is kind of an interesting thing. Notice it gives 4 trophies, by the way. And then we also have the Hydra prediction, which gives us Hydra chops, which honestly, Hydra chops could be a ridiculous food source if you had it coming in infinitely. And then fiery blood right here, which is used to make all of that gear and also fiery ingots. And then on top of all of that, we get generalized Twilight predictions, which have a lot of uses in themselves, making some of the cool, like, decorative things that exist in, you know, the Twilight Forest. So now the crazy thing is, if we just let this run for like 2 or 3 predictions, that would be enough heads to have completed the 18 that would be required, for example, to make the all of mods be, to have unlimited stars, essentially. So this will be something that kind of goes on in the background. I'll be checking this out. I'm basically going to let this run just enough to get enough of those base predictions here, and then I'll put in the other ones that we've already farmed. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have all of these constantly running. The Snow Queen, though, seems like a pretty good one to basically have producing packed ice, which I think would be really cool, as that could be compacted up and make some blue ice, and blue ice is where all of the magic happens, right? So this is able to be turned into dry ice, and we can use like reactors and so on from Powa. So now I hope you enjoyed that interesting adventure into the Twilight Forest, and hopefully you'll take some of that knowledge and use it in your own world. And well, with that being said, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and well, give this video, guys, a huge thumbs up. These videos do take a tremendous amount of time to record, believe it or not. I say that quite a bit, but honestly, they do take a long time to record, so definitely be sure to just give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. What was your thoughts on this? Was it interesting? Was I too snarky? I don't know. Do you like seeing videos like these where I exploit things? I would love to hear from you in those comment sections. So with that, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Silver Moon. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by, of course, becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. You guys are so amazing. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.